Once upon a time, on a late evening, Mark was driving back home from work. It had been a long and tiring day, and all he wanted was to reach the comfort of his house. As he navigated along the dimly lit highway, his tired eyes caught a glimpse of something unexpected: a child sitting by the roadside. Mark was taken aback by the sight of a child in such an unsafe location. Concerned and alarmed, Mark decided to pull over and offer his assistance. He parked his car a safe distance away and cautiously approached the child. The little boy seemed innocent enough, his eyes filled with a mixture of fear and vulnerability. Mark asked him if he needed any help or if he was lost. To Mark's surprise, the child didn't respond. Instead, he simply stared at him with an eerie silence. Unsettled, Mark felt a strange sensation creeping up his spine, a nagging feeling that something wasn't right. He tried to engage the child in conversation, asking where his parents were or if he needed a ride home. As Mark continued his attempts to help, the child's behavior took an unsettling turn. The boy's eyes darkened, and a wicked smile stretched across his face. In that moment, Mark's instincts screamed at him, warning him of impending danger. It became clear to him that this child was not what he appeared to be. Realizing he had fallen into a trap, Mark swiftly turned and made a run for his car. Panic and adrenaline coursed through his veins as he sprinted, his heart pounding in his chest. But the child was relentless, his malevolent laughter echoing through the night. The chase grew more intense as Mark raced against the child's pursuit. Shadows danced around him, and the air grew heavy with an oppressive sense of evil. Mark's mind raced, desperately searching for a way to escape the clutches of this sinister being. Just as Mark thought he had lost the child, he stumbled upon an abandoned building. Without a moment's hesitation, he pushed open the creaking door and dashed inside, seeking refuge within its decrepit walls. The child's laughter echoed ominously behind him, growing louder and more taunting. Inside the building, Mark realized he had stumbled upon an ancient, cursed place. The walls whispered stories of long-forgotten horrors, and the atmosphere reeked of despair. He was trapped, surrounded by the dark forces that had lured him into this terrifying ordeal. In a chilling climax, the child revealed his true form, a malevolent spirit seeking to claim another victim. Mark's heart sank as he realized his fate was sealed. The cursed building became his eternal prison, a twisted realm where nightmares reigned supreme. And so, the story concludes with a jarring and terrifying twist. Mark's act of kindness had led him into the clutches of a supernatural entity, forever condemned to a nightmare existence within the cursed walls of the forsaken building. Once upon a time, there was a man named David who was traveling to visit his parents. It was a long journey, and he found himself driving on a deserted highway. Suddenly, his car sputtered and came to a halt. David's heart sank as he realized his car had broken down in the middle of nowhere. Frustrated and worried, David stepped out of the car and looked around for help. He tried flagging down passing vehicles, hoping someone would stop and assist him. However, to his dismay, every car zoomed by without offering any assistance. The sense of isolation grew, and David's desperation intensified. Just when David was losing hope, he noticed a faint glow in the distance. It was a small cottage nestled deep within the woods, visible through the thick foliage. A glimmer of optimism sparked within him, and he decided to make his way towards the cottage in search of help. As he approached the cottage, an eerie silence enveloped the surroundings. The air felt heavy, and the woods seemed to whisper secrets of their own. David hesitated for a moment, his instincts warning him of the potential dangers that lay ahead. But with no other options, he summoned his courage and stepped towards the mysterious abode. Upon entering the cottage, David was greeted by a chilling atmosphere. The interior was dimly lit, casting long, menacing shadows on the walls. The creaking sound of floorboards echoed through the silence, and an inexplicable feeling of dread washed over him. As David called out for assistance, his pleas were met with silence. There was no sign of anyone living in the cottage. Unease settled deep within him, but before he could leave, the door slammed shut behind him, trapping him inside. A series of terrifying events unfolded, each more unsettling than the last. Whispering voices echoed through the rooms, objects moved on their own, and eerie figures seemed to lurk in the corners of David's vision. Panic gripped him tightly as he realized he had stepped into a nightmare. Determined to escape, David navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the cottage, his heart pounding with each step. The air grew thick with a malevolent presence, making it difficult to breathe. Shadows danced menacingly, and ghostly apparitions taunted him at every turn. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, David discovered a hidden passage that led to an ancient, overgrown cemetery behind the cottage. The moon cast an eerie glow on the weathered tombstones, and the wind whispered ancient secrets through the trees. Drawing on his last reserves of strength, David raced through the cemetery, desperate to find his way back to the highway. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, David stumbled upon the highway. He was exhausted, shaken, but relieved to be back in the realm of the living. He hailed a passing car, and this time, a kind stranger stopped to offer assistance. As David looked back at the cottage in the distance, he couldn't help but shudder at the nightmarish experience he had endured. He thanked his lucky stars for escaping the clutches of the terrifying events that had unfolded within its walls. And so, the story concludes with David's harrowing encounter, a tale of survival in the face of otherworldly horrors. The memory of that dreadful night would forever haunt him, a chilling reminder of the terrors that lie hidden in the most unsuspecting places.